Welcome to Inspired by Design, the podcast where we explore the tools, stories, and insights to help you rediscover your authentic self and navigate life with less resistance. I'm Katie Ruppert, a former hustle and grind overachiever on a thrilling and messy journey. I'd love to share what I'm learning and help others in self-discovery using human design. So, if you're seeking a way to move forward, let me be your weekly mindset coach and share stories to inspire you to action towards your unique purpose without the force or burnout. Today, I am sitting down with Stacie Smith, a sacral manifesting generator, 5-1 profile, a true gift for following signs. Stacie is a Reiki master teacher, meditation guide, and co-owner of the Chakra Healing Room in Wentzville, Missouri, a space built on intention, intuitive connection, and the kind of stillness that most of us crave. Her spiritual journey unfolded after the loss of her brother when a series of synchronicities became too meaningful to ignore. Those quiet nudges from spirit led her to Reiki, Ho'oponopono, and a completely new way of understanding healing, grief, and personal power. Now, Stacie teaches Reiki, offers inner peace sessions rooted in the Hawaiian practice of Ho'oponopono, guides meditations for beginners, and mentors people who are learning to reconnect with their intuition. One message, one moment, and one synchronicity at a time. You can connect to Stacie through her email, through the Chakra Healing Room website, and I will have all of that linked up in our show notes. You'll want to keep an eye out for her upcoming online course, Ho'oponopono and Signs and Synchronicities. Stacie, I am so excited that you're here. Welcome and thank you for saying yes to this interview.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited too. Very excited. Thank you for having me.
You bet. I want to get started just with you introducing yourself. Tell us a little bit about your journey, even in your bio there. I'm sure it caught everyone else's attention as it does mine when you share your story and all of the synchronicities after your brother passed. I just think, wow, you've got just a special purpose for being on this planet. And I'm excited to have people hear your stories, your past, your journey, as this is a series of interviews all about the spiritual path, about tools that help people figure out who they are and where they are and what they really believe. So tell us a little bit about you, Stacie.
Yeah, my story. It was about 3 years ago. My brother had passed away, and I was not in this spiritual path at all. I was working insurance sales and working in pharmacy as well. When he passed away, in my life, I always had this fear of death. And I never wanted to think about death. I always felt like it was the end, And so when he passed away, it was really tough for me to grieve. I cried and cried and cried. That's really not grieving. Crying is just not all of grief. So then I worked. I just kept working and working and working. And about 6 months after he had passed away, I found myself in this place called harmonic healing with a harmonic egg. I was out for work and I was prospecting insurance sales, and this business caught my attention. I went into this business and something about this business just lit me up. They had like pictures of chakras on the wall and acupuncture and pressure points, and this huge harmonic egg that's wooden that you sit in that's got light and sound therapy, and all this stuff just like lit me up. I was so excited. I sat with the owner for a few hours that day, just asking her questions and talking and talking. I was like, oh my gosh, this place is just amazing. And I ended up scheduling an appointment to sit in the harmonic egg. I came back a week or two later to sit in the egg, and it was a wonderful experience. I was like, I'm going to schedule an appointment to sit in this egg because I've always wanted to meditate and I can't do it because I'm all over the place and I can't sit still. So I was going to pay to sit in this egg, take my phone away and make me sit in here, and I'm just going to have my own time for 50 minutes. I'm like, that sounds perfect. So I sat in it, and it was lovely. It was like I just got out of a massage, but I hadn't been touched. I just got out and I felt like I was floating on a cloud. And then somewhere between the second and the fifth visit, got real emotional in the egg, and I started thinking about my brother. And I decided to ask him in the egg, if you're okay, and if you're here with me, just send me a sign. Like, I just need to see a sign. And so I was in there and I was like, I'm going to ask for a turtle because it was just something that I always think about him. Because when he was little, he used to go and find turtles on the road, and he would come because we lived in the country. He would come out back with turtles. So I was like, okay, this is a good sign. So if you're okay and you're with me and you're happy, like, I want to see a turtle, send me a real live turtle. And I remember saying, you need to send it to me like right in front of my face. I need to see it. I need to know it's for me. Sure enough, a couple days later, I was driving, going up this hill, and this couple was running, and one of them told me to hold on while she ran to the middle of the road, and she picked up this turtle right in front of me and took it to the other side of the road. And I was driving and I was like, what in the world? That just happened. That is so I was dumbfounded. This is so crazy. So I just knew we're connected. From then on, that's when signs and synchronicities started. I started just trusting. We are so connected, like that I have this help on the other side that knows, and it's this divinely guiding us if we just listen. About a month or two later, I was on the way to Florida, and the owner of the Harmonic Egg texts me, do you want to sign up for this Reiki course that's going to happen in August? And I had no idea what Reiki was, not at all. And so I was like, I don't know, can you tell me a little bit about it? And so she did. She sent me a text. She didn't tell me anything about what Reiki was. She just pretty much told me about that weekend. And she told me how much it was going to cost. And it was $276. And I was on the way to Florida and I had that text. And I was like, well, let me think about it. So when I was down there trying to figure out if I should do this Reiki thing or not, and I was laying under this cabana, and I remember looking at this cloud thinking, why don't I just ask for a sign? Why don't I just ask for help instead of trying to make this decision on my own? And so I was like, what am I going to ask for? That number 276 that was in the text for how much money to bring caught my attention. And I was like, I'm going to ask for the number 276 3 times before this class, so I'll know if I'm supposed to be there or not. And I knew when I asked that I was going to trust it with all of my heart. If I saw it, I was going to go. And if I didn't, I wasn't. And so sure enough, I did end up seeing those 3 signs like right in front of my face before that weekend. So I ended up taking the course and it changed my life. Ever since then, just divinely guided and trusting of, let me just hand it over. Let me ask for guidance. That's how the signs and synchronicities and the Reiki came to my life. When I went to the Reiki attunement that weekend, I honestly sat in that chair and I remember not having any idea what Reiki was at all. I just knew I was supposed to be there. And it really did make a huge difference in my life. I don't believe I would be where I am today if Reiki hadn't been a part of it. So
yeah. Wow. That is so cool. I love the trust that you put. I think about myself in your shoes. If I didn't know what Reiki was, like there's no way I wouldn't have just sat in that room. So you just could feel it inside. And one of the questions I was going to ask you is like, when did these signs and synchronicities start? But oh my God, for them, there was, you say, one of the 276s was like the door code of your place or something.
Yeah, no, the first 276, or right after I had asked, the first 276 was the passcode or whatever. I was looking up Airbnbs like 20 minutes later, and the passcode came up on my phone for me to log in was 2436. And I'm such a numbers girl, and 43 is 7 to me. It's funny because I remember in middle school getting flashcards, like the teacher standing up with flashcards, and she would just be like, anybody can answer. And for some reason, and I'm sure it all links up because for some reason, I always loved when 4 plus 3 came up because I was like 7. And so when this 2436 came, I was like, that's 27. Like, it's just amazing.
It's cool. I remember hearing you share that before, and I just thought that's so perfect. Like, you just can't make it up because you have that story about how 4 plus 3 makes 7 and all passcodes are 4 digits long, but somehow it still worked out,
Right. Yes.
And we had Carol on here a few weeks ago, and she was talking about like one of the first classes she went to at the Chakra Healing Room. She walked in, she felt like she was home, and it was signs and synchronicities. And she had not a similar story, but that's what drew her there. Like, oh, I've been seeing these signs and synchronicities. And I would imagine, I know I have the same kind of thing. Whoa, all of a sudden I'm seeing this 56 is my number, followed me around all year long. And I'm like, okay, I see it.
Yes.
And I just think it's really neat how even if it's not direct words, spirit can communicate to us that way. And
it's always connected. I mean, it's always in front of us if we can see it and if we can recognize it and if we can learn that language, right? It's really learning the language, and it's symbols, synchronicities, signs. They're always there, and they're always there to lift us up and show us the way. So we just have to be open to it. And that's what I love to teach people, to believe, just to believe it, because it always directs you.
Yeah, absolutely. I've really leaned into that trust this year myself. I remember one of the first just big questions is always that doubt that, well, what if I believe this and I'm just a little crazy? Or what if I'm making these numbers up? What if that's just my brain is smart and it can do that? For me, my word of the year this year is trust. So I was like, okay, what's the harm? I'm just going to follow when I feel it. And of course, with you and I share being a sacral manifesting generator, like where we need a lot of variety in our life, but the authority, the inner decision maker is our body saying heck yes, or our body feeling literally pulled with attraction. And so could be one and the same, honestly. Just when we feel our energy move towards something, it's in our best interest to start towards it, like next right step kind of idea. Is there any other advice you give to people when they are starting to see synchronicities, or they're starting to feel led and they might be a little nervous about, like, how do I trust that this isn't just my head being weird?
Yeah. Signs and synchronicities are there and they light you up. I always say, like, how did it make you feel? Did it make you excited? That excitement is the path to all of the magic in our life, right? And if you want to live this flow, and where the flow happens, everything just happens for you when we are lifted into that vibration of trust and gratitude and excitement, right? And so I always say, if it excites you, just be grateful for it and let it excite you every time, and follow the excitement, because it's always going to lift you up to this vibration where all the magic is. And don't question it. Why would you not want to follow the excitement?
Yeah, right. And you also will feel the resistance when something's off. So as you trust, you do learn your body, you learn your yes, you figure it out as you start walking in trust. And the thing that I always come back to is next right step. Okay, this is exciting. This feels good. I'm going to move towards it. And then my mind will say, well, how? Like, how are you going to figure this out? How are you going to pay for this? How are you going to do that? What if? And those questions, they're not bad. They're not wrong. They just, they aren't the next right step. So if you're going too far in the future, it's a bad thing. But when you're trusting and trying to live in the flow, it really is about, like, okay, I just need to know the next step, and then the next step gets lit up. And
that's so true. You just have to trust in timing and everything, because sometimes we do get caught up in living. It's a learning process for sure. It's not something that's super easy, living in the flow, because of what we've been taught, right? What's the outcome and how are you going to get there? And what are the steps? We are supposed to know that, right? And so living in the flow is so different. And it definitely is not easy, but it's rewarding, because we live in hindsight. Like, when you live like this, you look back and you're like, 6 months ago, if I didn't do this or this and this, I wouldn't be doing this magical thing, you know?
Right.
So
life can really be magical. It's really neat.
It really can. Yeah, it is.
Well, let's go back to Reiki, because so you're sitting in this Reiki attunement and you're like, I don't know what Reiki is, but I know I'm supposed to be here, and you get Reiki attuned. And I know, fast forward, I met you in the last year. I've done the Chakra healing rooms Reiki share circle. It showed up and found me when I most needed it in February of this year, right before just this big, huge change in my life came. And there's no coincidence there. There's a sign in and synchronicity for you. I remember one time specifically, you were doing Reiki in that circle and you always ask, is it okay for me to put hands on you? Sometimes, touch a shoulder or your heart space or head. And a lot of times the hands kind of float over, and maybe you can tell us a little bit more about Reiki and kind of how you explain it. But as a student brand new to Reiki overall, I am laying there on that table. I felt so relaxed, so loved. I mean, by people I didn't know. I just felt I was receiving such love. And I remember you placing your hand on my heart and you said, they don't want me to take my hand off. So is it okay if I leave it there? And you stay there for, I don't know how long, but it was the most comforting thing. And then after our Reiki session, you mentioned that there was like a guide of mine that came through and just wanted to send me so much love. And it was like the next day that I had like my whole world pivoted. No. It was such a special moment for me, but Can you tell me a little bit about what it's like when you're in that moment of trusting? I'm inside of a Reiki session and I'm supposed to put my hand here, and like, how are you knowing that? And tell us a little bit about those kinds of things that happen.
Right. So it's so interesting because I would have never thought that I would have this connection to the other side, never. But I feel like Reiki, it opens you up to this divine channel and the more that you practice Reiki, the more that you're connected. And so just doing Reiki session after Reiki session over time, I don't even know how to explain it. There would just be one time where I'd feel like the presence of like a woman in the room. It's just that feeling and that knowing and trusting that. And it's just Reiki kind of masters you to trust your connection. And I just know sometimes that happens. I can't remember that night, Katie. I wish I could remember what exactly happened, but I imagine I just felt the presence. I'm sure I just felt like in Reiki, I feel like they just tell me to put my hands somewhere, and I'll just be like, or just to do something with my hands. And I just trust it. And that's what I've learned over time is in the beginning, I would just do my hand placements exactly like I was taught. Do your hand placements on the person. And then over time, when you meditate and you get so connected, you trust this inner wisdom that comes through and you just trust it. And when I open my mouth and I say it to the people and they validate, it just makes me trust it even more. Yeah. I don't know how to, it's not something that, I don't know. Reiki does that for you. You'll just start trusting after a while. And I'm just a vessel. Yeah. And when I go in, I totally just connect and listen and feel. If I feel like I'm supposed to go and put my hands up underneath somebody's back and then put it on their forehead at the same time, I don't question it anymore. In the beginning, I probably would have, but like now I just do it. And usually it's just what the person needed. And I don't know why I did it. I just trust it. I always say I feel like I'm like the nurse in an operating room and the doctor's telling me like, do this, do that. And I'm just like, okay, like whatever. He's trusting that he knows the wisdom and I have all the tools and I'm just going to listen. And it's been beautiful. It really has been beautiful. And I trust that everybody that practices Reiki or meditation can also get there and do the same thing. I would have never imagined that's something that I would have been doing ever. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel the same way, but it's neat to witness someone trusting and following that intuition and guidance. If someone is like, okay, Katie keeps talking about Reiki every episode, why would someone come and do a Reiki session with you?
Yeah. So I always feel like Reiki is going to call you, right? And so Reiki will, and because that happened to you, right? I think Reiki just kind of appears. It happened to me too. Do you want to do this Reiki? What in the world is Reiki? Yes, I guess. And then it changed my life, right? And so I always feel like Reiki is just going to call you. So if you're listening to this and you're like, curious, what's Reiki? Then I say, go have a session because that's how Reiki found you, yeah, I just feel like Reiki's going to find you when you need it.
Perfect. So what was it like right after you got attuned? Did you just start practicing or how did you get to where you are now?
So right after, I was still doing insurance and I was driving around prospecting for new clients and all the things. But then I had immediately bought like a Reiki table, put it in my house and did Reiki on family. Couldn't stop thinking about everything Reiki, right? I found all the podcasts and like typing in, what can I listen to in the car? Because I was in my car all the time. So books, every podcast about Reiki, everything, chakras, I couldn't get enough of it. And then just practicing on family and friends. And about 6 months after that, I was still working full time and just doing that on family and friends. And I asked for more signs. So that number 276 is very important. It's now my Reiki number. So every time I see it, I know it's my guide saying, focus back on Reiki, focus back on Reiki. That's just kind of our thing. And it has popped up so much. It actually popped up one time after I started like digging into Reiki more, when I went back to my insurance and I was like, yes, I'll do this one last thing. And I went to meet somebody about insurance and I was calculating something on the calculator for them and it came up 276. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know I shouldn't be doing this. I should be focusing on Reiki. It was the craziest thing. It just pops up. And that's what I always know. It always pops up to let me know that like, we want you to focus on Reiki, Yeah. So about 6 months later, again, I was driving and I kept thinking about Reiki and I was like, okay, I was in the car by myself in the city and I was like, okay, listen, guys, if I'm supposed to do more with Reiki and it wasn't just supposed to be put in my life to help me with grief, then let me see those numbers, 276, like, let me see 276. And so I did. The very next exit I was taking was 276, exit 276. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, yeah. And I was like, it's that fast, and I had a few more signs after that. This is a really fun story. One of the signs I had right after that, I was out in Troy and there was this boy. I was prospecting for insurance and went into this hotel and I asked for the manager and this boy came. He was probably in his 20s or early 30s and he was on the spectrum. And he came up to me and he said, do you read auras? And I'm like, no. He's like, well, I'm reading your aura. And of course I was like fascinated. He was like, I'm reading it. He was telling me it was like light blue and he was telling me some stuff about me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And he said, but you are not you're not on the right path yet. He goes, when you turn left, you'll be on the right path. And I kept thinking, what in the world does that mean? And he said it again. He goes, no, when you go left, you'll be on the right path. And then he looked at me and he said, do you believe me? And I'm like, well, yes, I believe you. And he was like, some people don't believe me. And then I was like, of course I believe you. Like, keep doing what you're doing. That's really, really great or whatever. And so then we left and I left thinking that the whole left thing, I knew that was going to come back into my life sometimes. I didn't know how, but for some reason, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be buying a house and it's going to be the one on the right or the left. Or I had no idea how it was going to come, but that I felt was really important for some reason. So I just kind of just threw it. Like I always say, I have this hobo bag on the back and I always just throw these things that I'm like, I think that's important. It's going to go back there, right? It's going to come back out someday. So sure enough, about 2 months later, I was in my living room purchasing a canvas off of Facebook Marketplace. I had asked this lady, like, where is this? She's like, yes, it's available. I was like, okay, give me the address and I'll pick it up in the morning. And so then I pressed send and I got up and I went to the kitchen and I grabbed one of those Dove chocolate candies that you open it up and they always have a message on the inside. So I grab one and I'm walking into my bedroom and I'm eating it and I'm reading the wrapper and it says, when things aren't going right, turn left. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like that kid, that all came back to me.
Wow.
And my phone pinged. And as soon as my phone pinged, I looked at to see where the address was where I was supposed to pick this canvas up the next morning. And the house number was 276. So I wrote that.
Of course it was.
Right. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to be doing Reiki. Like I will be on the right path. Cause he said, you're not on the right path yet. When you turn left, I was just like, he's telling me Reiki is on the left, right? This is it. And so the next day I messaged the owner of that harmonic egg because we had become friends. I was there all the time. And, I was like, hey, I'm going to be looking for a Reiki studio to rent. Do you happen to have a room or anything that I could rent there? before I go looking. And she's like, oh my gosh, me and my husband were just talking about cleaning out one of these rooms and renting them. So we worked out an agreement where I helped her with the harmonic egg, and she was doing more on her farm. If you want to help me by putting people in the egg and working the egg, we'll do that trade for your rent. And so I did that, and that was lovely. It was beautiful. And so that's kind of how I got my Reiki practice started.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about your signs and synchronicity class, because I know you regularly offer it. I'm sure all of us could benefit from it. But if there's someone just waking up to their intuition, maybe they're starting to see the repeating numbers, songs, they're like, how can they start building their trust? Or is that what the class is all about?
Yeah. And so it's funny because like right after when I started working at that harmonic healing, it was just the egg and it was Reiki. And so that harmonic egg is really something you have to visually see. I always want to pull people in and be like, look at this. This is an amazing modality. I started thinking, let's do classes. Maybe if I do classes, I was actually taking a shamanic Reiki class online, and it had a business class tied to it. And we were talking in our business class one day, and the instructor was asking us what our next steps were and what we wanted to do in the future. And when she got to me, I was like, I want to bring in workshops. I really want to teach, something. And I want to teach chakras and like all the things. I like named off all of this stuff. And she's like, hold on. Which one of those could you teach today without any notes, And I was like, oh, well, probably talking about signs and synchronicities, because that's why I'm here. And so she said, open your doors to a free signs and synchronicities class, and you're going to find your tribe. Oh. And sure enough, that's where it all started. I did that every Tuesday. I opened the doors to a signs and synchronicities class. And that's actually where I met Leslie too. That's where my tribe, that's where it all started, the signs and synchronicities class. I just do it like once a month. And it is a great class for beginners, because normally a lot of people see 111. Okay, that's what I hear a lot. Like, I always see 111. That's everybody always notices it. And I'm like, well, if you're noticing it, come to class, because you're going to hear other people, because that's the whole point of the class. It's more like a gathering. And we listen to people that have had signs and synchronicities happen to them. And then, of course, I'll be there to give tips and stuff like that on what to do, what that means. And it's just a really fun gathering, and something a lot of people can relate to. It's not too
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I had something today, and I thought about you when I noticed it, because it's normal for me, right? This 56 number always follows me around. I got into my car today, and I drive an electric car. It said I have 156 miles left before I need to charge again.
Yeah.
And I was headed to yoga, and I was going 56 miles an hour when I looked down at my dash. And then I looked up, and I was behind a school bus, and the school bus number was 111. And
I love that.
I mean, by now I know 56 is, hey, change is here, change is coming, you're transforming, it's okay, you're being protected. So that's essentially what it means. And so it's been a beautiful number this year. And then 111, new beginnings, getting fresh starts, stuff like that.
Yeah. Or just like we're all one and we're all together and we're united. And whenever I see 111, it's great. So the other day when it snowed, I had to run in and get my husband at Boeing. It's like a 35-mile trip, right? Well, there and then back, it's another 35, but it took me 5 hours. It was insane in the snow. It was just absolutely crazy. But I was so grateful to be aware of signs and synchronicities that day, because I saw so many like 444s, 555s, 276s. And hours before that, we had this meeting and we were talking about this dream that I had about a shamrock and about a red diamond. So in this dream, my daughter was holding this red crystal. And I remember in this dream, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so pretty. Like, what is that? And she said, it's a shamrock. And I remember in my dream going, that's not a shamrock. That's a red crystal or something. And then I heard red diamonds. And so that we were talking about that dream. And so for about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour, I was behind this truck, and I have a picture of it on my phone, but I was behind this truck that had a red shamrock. And it was,
oh my gosh.
It's like, what? Like, so stuff like that just kept happening. And I was like, I'm so grateful to be aware of these signs and synchronicities that lift me up in a time when I could have just hated the world because this is so frustrating. I was like driving 7 miles per hour for hours, right? Like, But I was so aware of this language that was out there that I kept being lifted and excited, and it kept me in this positive mood instead of not being aware. So
beautiful. I love that. So you mentioned what started for you is you just kind of had the prompting, I'm going to ask for a sign. So what kinds of things could someone ask for a sign for if they want to try this out in a low stakes way, maybe?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can ask for a sign for anything. I'm trying to think. Yeah. If you have a yes or no question, something that you're like, should I do this or should, yes or no, then ask for a sign, whatever you want to see that means yes. Should I do that? And listen to it, right? That's the big thing. So if you're going to ask for it and you see it, then take action. So let's say, I don't know if I should sell my house or if I should keep renting, right? Just play with it and be like, okay. And you can give it a date too, right? You can be like, if I'm supposed to sell my house, or you can ask one or the other, if I'm supposed to sell my house, then let me see, and make it something that you know that it's going to be something that is for you, not just like a feather. So maybe it's like a red ball with a blue star on it. Make it specific and say, if I'm supposed to do this, let me see this by a certain date. And if you see it, trust it. And if you don't, take action. And your guides really it will be put in your face. Yeah. You will see it if you're supposed to. And it's just that trusting. It's trusting.
Yeah.
And once you trust it once, then there's no stopping. You're just like in a snowball of, I'm going to do that again and again and again and again,
Right. I love that. Thank you.
Yes.
One other thing I want to make sure we talk about is this Ho'oponopono.
Yeah.
So it's a Hawaiian prayer, right?
Yeah.
I did an NLP course with my human design mentorship, and I remember having a very spiritual session with myself. I'm sorry, please forgive me. And just like talking to my younger self, and then myself now saying, I do forgive you. I love you. And just having this conversation with myself. That's how I experienced it. But I've never taken your class. It's on my list. And I know that it's something you're very passionate about, and it keeps popping up. So I know you're doing more and more of it. And we're going to do the online class in 2026. Tell listeners a little bit about it.
All right. Well, let me see. So gosh, it's probably been about a year ago now that back when I was taking that shamanic Reiki course, I was introduced to it, but I didn't need it in my life at that time. I remember hearing about it. She taught about it, and I was like, okay, that's cool. So it was throw it in the hobo bag, right? So I was like, I know it was back here. I'm going to need to pull it out. It's really cool. It's catching my attention, but I don't really understand it. It is a mantra. It's a Hawaiian mantra, and it's super simple. It sounds super simple. It's, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. It's just reciting that prayer to bring peace into your life. And it really didn't make sense to me at first. I was like, that's just weird. Like, how can you make such a difference by just saying those words, But then fast forward to about a year ago, and a couple of things happened back to back with me, with people in my life. I was just kind of taken aback, going like, that's so crazy. Why does this happen to me? I'm really trying to be the better person, like the best that I can be, to bring in good. And these things were happening. And I'm like, why does this hurt? And why is this hurting so much? And then I just kept getting these synchronicities. Ho'oponopono would come up on the screen. Somebody would say something. I'm like, oh, okay, I need to dig into Ho'oponopono for this. And so I did. I got online and I looked up every video and everything that I could read or listen to about Ho'oponopono until it made sense with me, until somebody said it the right way, where I was like, oh my gosh, I get it. And as soon as that happened and I started using it, it totally changed my world. I went from just feeling these darts in my heart and my gut when people would say and do things, to feeling peace. Like they could do these things and I felt peace. Like it didn't hurt me anymore because I had fixed that reaction within me. So it's the thought of that we are energy. And it's just fixing our energy field so that we react in a peaceful way to everything, with compassion and with peace, really. It's all about peace. I started using this nonstop. I would attach this mantra to my thought of the situation, and this mantra brought peace to that energy. instead of me thinking about the situation and reacting on it without peace, and instead like with worry and doubt and fear, anxiety, I would think about these people or these situations, and I would bring the mantra in, because that mantra is like you're bringing peace in, because it's a vibration that is attached to that mantra. It has been used over and over and over again for peace. And so when you say those words, it has this energy and vibration of peace trailing in with it. You're bringing in energy of peace using the mantra. It's very deep, and it took me a lot of podcasts and a lot of books and a lot of YouTube videos until it totally made sense to me. There's so many different ways that I could go in and try to explain it, but the simplest is just that it's attached to the vibration of peace. And so every time you feel anything but peace, if you just bring that peace in, it's like an exercise, like you're doing reps, right? You feel this way and it doesn't feel peaceful, so I'm going to bring peace in. And so I practiced that every time I would think about these situations. I would think about it, and if I felt uneasy, then I'd bring that peace in. And so after a while, I'd think about it, and I had brought that vibration of peace in. So it was just like, I'm peaceful with it now. It really changed my life. It really did. And I say it all the time now. Why not bring this vibration of peace in if I'm just sitting here, you know?
Wow. You know, one of the things I was going to ask you about was problem solving. And as you describe this, what keeps going through my brain is popcorning back to certain things. Like when I have a conversation that feels just like a little bit of a rub, or I get an email that activates me, I respond, and then I just still feel icky until they respond back. We do these things like, we're going to figure it out. I'm going to say the right thing. And we are really smart, and we figure out how to get back to peace by the things that we do. And what you're saying, what I'm interpreting is, okay, well, another option, the both and idea of, and let's also energetically just offer peace to the situation.
Yes.
In the meantime, while I'm waiting for that email to come back, or, you know, whatever it is.
Yes, Katie, you were so spot on. I love that. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what you need to do, because otherwise it's just like a cycle of energy. That situation is going to come back up. That energy is going to come back up. And if you have an attached piece to it, it's going to keep coming back. Yeah. So the more that we can feel into it and attach the piece to it, then you'll just be having more peaceful experiences in your life. Another way that it has helped me is that it opens you up to this direct divine guidance. So there's a story with Ho'oponopono that it's the doctor that worked in the psychiatric ward of a Hawaiian state hospital. And when I first heard about this, that's what made me be like, I don't know about this, because they say he healed he healed all of these psychiatric patients by just using this mantra and not even seeing the patients for their therapy. He would just have their folder and he would read their folder, and then he would do this mantra. And so how he healed the ward, which this took me a while to figure out, because I was like, how in the world does somebody do that? But now I completely understand how he did it. He listened to that divine connection. So let's say he had Bob Smith's folder in front of him, right? And he was reading it. Instead of him reading it, feeling pity or feeling judgment towards this client or this patient, he brought in peace. And when we bring in peace, it opens our channel up to this divine guidance. Because when we are in a judgment phase, we're in this lower vibration. And so if he would read it and he was in a lower vibration, he knew he wasn't getting the direct guidance on how to heal and how to help this particular person, because he was in his head, if that makes sense. Yes. And so he would recite this prayer. That was his job. He was like, I know if I just read this, and I recite it and I get peace, all of a sudden he would get these inspirational things come in. He would all of a sudden be like, start a baseball team, have them help you in the kitchen, make them paint the walls, have them help you, or like making them feel worthy. So instead of give them their medicine, they're criminals, they did this, put them in a room, he healed this energy of, he made them feel worthy and feel loved and feel seen and understood. And that is what healed them. Wow. Because he listened to those inspirational aha, like, this is what we should do. And it And within years, all of those like patients that had been there for lots and lots of years were released under his care because they were better. It is amazing. It's amazing. So it can, I always say, if you have a loved one or a situation in your family or a loved one with an illness, use this on them. Just think about their situation. And instead of you feeling in a panic, bring peace to it. Because when we're peaceful, we can get that direct divine guidance on what to do. And it might be something as simple as remembering grandma's favorite cookie. And so you decide to bake them and you give them to her and she lifts her energy because she's happy that you did that, right? And otherwise you would just be sitting there worried and scared about her and what's going to happen, right? So it puts you in this state of peace so that you can listen to the guidance on what's best for the person. So that is something that I use in my Reiki sessions as well, is before the Reiki client comes in, I like to look at the name. So I ho'oponopono the name of the person, because if there's anything that I don't know that is attached to me with that name of energy, who knows if it's another lifetime or like, who knows? So I always bring peace into the situation.
Right before you said I use this in my Reiki, I was like, it reminds me quite a bit of Reiki, like how you describe Reiki. So I'll share this real quick. So I got attuned with you and Leslie and went to the spirit circle a couple weeks ago. I did hands-on for the community first time. Okay.
Oh, nice.
I'm like you had described earlier, I'm like doing my hand placements. I'm like, Katie, just trust, it's fine. And there were moments throughout the night that I get this awareness. Oh, I'm doing it. Oh my gosh, this is real. And then I was like, oh shoot, I'm in my head again. All right. And it reminded me of how you were describing that doctor, like when his head got involved, when you're trying to figure it out, and it's the same thing when you sit down and meditate, or even take it further. You're watching a movie and you're falling asleep and you're like, I just want to give into the sleep. Oh, I'm falling asleep. Oh, I'm awake now. When your brain gets involved and there's just this subconscious energetic thing that happens when like, oh my gosh, I want to fall asleep. Now I'm starting to fall asleep. I recognize I'm asleep. Now I'm awake again. Or I'm trying to meditate. I get to the space. Shoot, I'm meditating. Yeah. Oh, okay. Now I need to go back and do it again. And I felt that way about Reiki. And I feel like maybe this is just the thing with the energetic practices is really takes you getting out of the way and being like, thank you, brain. I know you're smart. Right now, we're just going to settle. We're going to rest and we're going to see what else there is. We're going to ask for these signs. We're going to allow that space between thinking and figuring out, sleeping or whatever the other thing is.
Right. Yeah. It's so, I have a couple things I want to share. So interesting that you're saying this too, because I was in meditation one day and it was a Friday. And so Friday, our store isn't open. It is just Reiki sessions. I have Reiki sessions. And in the middle of my Reiki sessions, I love to sit under the pyramid and just meditate with my journal, and just the door is locked. It's just me in there. And sometimes I'll open the curtains and the sun's coming through and it feels so good. And so I was doing that one day and I was just sitting under there, just really connecting. And I would hear like a car or something. I started getting in my head thinking, oh my gosh, what if somebody's looking in the window and I'm just sitting here like meditating? I don't know. Not that it's a bad thing at all, but that it comes in like, what if somebody came in and I didn't hear them and now they're just staring at me and my eyes are closed? But spirit would not let me open my eyes. And I kept hearing ho'oponopono, that worry that you have that somebody's looking at you. That judgment, right? Because then it brought me down. They were like, why are you worried? Are you worried you're going to be judged? And they were like, ho'oponopono that. So every noise that I heard, and every time I would go back into meditation, but every time I would worry or fear or like try to open my eyes, they would be like, ho'oponopono that, like ho'oponopono that. So I would kept ho'oponoponoing every noise that I heard so that I could stay in meditation and didn't worry about that, didn't have those fears. And then another Reiki session, I did have this really interesting thing happen with ho'oponopono. And I was in a session and I was at the person's head and I kept hearing ho'oponopono it. And so I kept reciting this mantra. So I just listened and I'm like, okay, in my head, I was saying, I'm sorry, please forgive me. I love you. Thank you, while I was doing Reiki. And then I would hear Honsheizei Shonen, which is the distance symbol in Reiki. And so then I was just like, okay, Honsheizei Shonen, Honsheizei Shonen. And then I would hear ho'oponopono. And then I would do the ho'oponopono. I kept doing this. And all of a sudden I felt like I had these two elders beside me, and I knew that it was Dr. E. Haleakala, the one who healed the psych ward, standing there. And he was telling me when to say Ho'oponopono. And then right beside him was the Reiki master, Asui. And he was throwing in the Honshu Shonen. So it's like I had this knowing that one of them was going Ho'oponopono, the other one's going Honshu Shonen, telling me when to say them. And I just kept doing it, And then I had this like, where's Jesus? Like, I'm taking orders from them. And I kept like, for some reason, I was like, where's Jesus? And I could see down at the very end of the room, Jesus was standing there, and he just kind of smiled at me and nodded like, yes, carry on. Like, it's okay. You're doing exactly. So I remember getting out of that session going, oh my gosh, it was Jesus approved, that whole Reiki, right? And so I like hurry up and journaled it. I was journaling what happened because it was so beautiful. And I remember titling it Jesus approved, Ho'oponopono Reiki. It was so beautiful. So
I had full body chills the whole time you told that story.
Oh, I know, it was just a beautiful thing. So yeah, I definitely trust. I have so much support in that Reiki room for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. Thank you, Stacie.
Yeah.
How beautiful.
Yeah.
Every question that I'd prepared to ask, you just seamlessly answered as you talked. I'll just point out, I started to say, I was going to ask you about problem solving. And because you're a 5 line, that's the energy of you're here to solve problems on a bigger level. Like people meet you and they're meant to meet you, or you need them or they need you. And what you're doing with your life and following and trusting, it really shines that the right people are coming to you because of your practices. And that's really what we're talking about today. Like Reiki's a practice, Ho'oponopono is a practice, meditation is a practice. Like you don't get it right. You come back to it over and over and over again. And it gets a little easier to get back into. But I think it's very beautiful with you being a manifesting generator. When you do things that light you up, that's how the right people get to you. And you don't have to go and find them. They come to you. And that's that those people are the ones that the problems that they have are the ones that you're supportive of fixing. So your life really gets to be in flow, effortless when you can, like your effort all goes into trust. And
absolutely. 100%. I always say, I know that every Reiki session that signs up for a session with me is because we're supposed to be together, because I have no doubts, and so like, I always trust 100% that it's going to be a beautiful session because I mean, I didn't go out and be like, you need a Reiki session, you're scheduling with me. I always just for it to come in. And when it comes in, I'm like, Spirit brought it in. It was an energy guided session. So definitely divinely guided for sure. So It's beautiful. Yeah. It's a beautiful, beautiful life to live. Yeah. Definitely have to find your tribe when you start living this life though, because it is not the norm. So you definitely have to have people to talk to for sure.
Well, and I love the mission that you share about the chakra healing room. We want to make Reiki normal. We want people to know about it so they can all receive this universal life force energy. It's just such a neat mission.
It is. That is when I first opened the chakra healing room. That is what I heard, is that you're going to be making Reiki normal and meditation and bringing community together. So meditation and Reiki, those are the two things that I know that are so important. They're for people to learn and to know about. I feel like they're like the base of your spiritual awakening. And then you're just ready. You get super connected and then you're ready to take off. And people are starting to get more and more open. When it first opened like 2.5 years ago, I remember putting meditation on the schedule and nobody would come. And I'm like, what? Like, you told me meditation, right? But meditation for me, like I had to meditate for a while before I could teach meditation, right? I had to learn it. I had to get good at it. I had to know. And now that I've been putting it back on the schedule, I'm starting to, people are starting to come in and learn how to meditate. And it's lovely. But alignment and timing is everything, right?
Yes.
We don't know. We just have to trust.
That's right. Oh, there's our theme of the day. So love it.
Yep.
I have 2 more things for us. First, how do people get in touch with you if they feel led? You can share anything you want to share here. And then of course that they can check out the show notes, and we'll keep that updated, especially when you get your online course up. I'll come back and I'll put that in the show notes. So if you're listening January 2026 on, then you can go to the show notes and you can get the next online course.
Yeah, absolutely.
But second, I'd love for you just to take a moment, maybe take a deep breath, connect with your guides, whatever it is, the person that was attracted to listen to this episode. And as they do in the right timing, they'll listen to this episode. Maybe you could tune in and see what is it that you would want them to hear today? Maybe someone listening is like, they know Spirit's trying to get their attention. They know there's something here. They just are like, whoa, overwhelmed. What would you want them to hear? Or maybe you could tune in and kind of
I'd love to do that.
If something comes through.
Yeah. So, I mean, already the word believe just keeps coming to me very strong. Just to believe that what you see and not to question it, you know, that whatever is coming to you, and if it's a sign or a number or an animal or whatever it is, and if it makes you think about like a grandma per se, like maybe it's like, oh my gosh, I just thought about my grandma when I saw that. Don't doubt that that was your energy of your grandma putting that in front of you, and just be grateful and thank you, grandma. And now every time you see that, know that your grandma's energy is near. So that is what I feel someone needs to hear right now, for sure.
That's neat. It's like building a relationship in a different way, right? Without the people, you can build that relationship through those kinds of things.
Always there. It's always there. That energy never leaves you. Yeah. We just have to learn the language of it and learn how to connect with it.
You know, I'm having this like little epiphany moment with that too. So maybe it was for me, you know, just I was always building a relationship with God, Savior, just never could see, but believed.
Yeah.
And it's the same kind of thing. It's the same kind of thing that it can be done, even if it's mystery, even if we don't understand. And it's still
another thing that I want to add that they're really wanting me to say is that trust, if you feel it in your heart, it's never wrong, right? And so if it makes you feel good and it feels lovely in your heart, then it's not wrong. So don't doubt it, you know, don't doubt it at all. Believe it. If you feel it in your heart, believe it.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's how I felt that first Reiki session. I was like, oh, no, this feels good. There's nothing to be scared of. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Our heart never leads us astray. It never leads us astray.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Yeah. Well, is there anything left unsaid, Stacie? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, that's all I can think of right now. Thank you, Katie.
This was so fun. Thank you for this conversation. I can't wait to get it out to our listeners. And it was just beautifully fulfilling for me too. I really appreciate you.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. You do awesome at what you do. Continue doing this because you're good at it.
Thanks, friend. Cool.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's all we have for you. Thank you for listening to the end. Make sure you go over to our Facebook group, Inspired by Design with Katie Ruppert. It's a free group to join, and we have a conversation starter there every Friday. I'd love for you to just drop maybe a sign of synchronicity. Tell us what your angel numbers are. Tell us what you think about all this. And I would love to get you connected with the Chakra Healing Room, have you do a session with Stacie. And maybe I'll see you there because I got to go to that Ho'oponopono one here shortly. So, all right. Thanks again. Have a great week.
Thanks for tuning in to Inspired by Design with Katie Ruppert. If today's episode sparked something in you, I'd love to hear about it. Share your takeaways, subscribe, or even leave a review to help others find the show. For more tools and insights, visit my free Facebook group. And until next time, keep embracing exactly who you are and move forward one inspired action at a time.